Hello, everybody. How is everyone doing? I hope all of you viewers have had an awesome week and are having a very restful weekend. If you're working this weekend, take breaks. Breaks are just as important and keep up the energy, people. So I'm here with another Scholarship Track live Q&A session. My name is Sivadi Naidu. I am pretty much known as the multitasker at Scholarship Track. I do a lot of odd jobs here at ST. Currently, I am the research team lead and I'm in charge of the Scholarship Track newsletter, ST Spilling the Tea. If you read those on Sundays, know that it's organized by me. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy those newsletters. Anyways, today for our live Q&A session, we are going to be talking about the popular career option of a chartered accountant. What does the career entail? And we are here to also get a few exclusive tips and tricks on how to ace those board exams, all brought to you by our interviewee, Harshad Arora. Hi, Harshad, how are you?
I'm great, Sonia. I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. I'm good, thank you. And how was your week so far?
It was tiring, but yeah, I'm all ready for the weekend now.
Great, great. Thank you so much for being here with us. So Harshad is
Likewise.
awesome. So Harshad is a graduate from INGU, Indira Gandhi National Open University. He has a degree in BCom Accounting and Finance and has aced his CA Intermediate board exams. He has past article training experience with Grant Thornton. Grant Thornton is a very big international accounting firm, and currently he is with T. Naga and Co. in Lucknow in India, doing his article training experience. Okay, so let us kickstart with the questions, Harshit.
Yeah,
Uh, so,
completely.
so tell us a little bit about yourself. When you were in high school, there were all these career opportunities. What inspired you to want to pursue business? What inspired you particularly to take on the career of a chartered accountant?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Subhanya, for the question and the lovely introduction. Okay, so my name is Harshit Arora, as is quite evident from the screen. I am a chartered accountancy student. So, just jumping into what inspired me to take up the career of CA. So, initially, since childhood, my father always wanted to be a CA, and there were certain backgrounds, certain circumstances at his time that could not make him fulfill that dream. So CA personally has stayed with me since always. And then came our school level when we had actually choose subjects. So commerce came very naturally to me. Commerce, business came very naturally to me because I was always inclined towards it. And then when I started reading it, then I started to realize that how actually I find interest in it, how actually I want to work with it, and how actually I am interested in knowing how businesses work at the end of the day. So that is something that actually inspired me and ignited the fire that yes, chartered accountancy, particularly in India, is something that's a very reputed profession. And not only reputed, it actually gets us the insights of how businesses work from the deepest ways. So that actually made me attracted towards CA, and I took my journey as a chartered accountancy student when I finished school in 2018. Yeah.
Awesome. So, at what age exactly did you know you wanted to become a CA? So, here in South Africa, being a CA is a very popular career option as well. And so at 16, we pretty much have to make a decision. In our final years of school, we have to choose subjects that are like a prerequisite in order to get into an accounting degree. So, you have to choose the subject accounting when you are 16 years old. So, did that work for you? Did you do accounting at school, or was it just something you pursued from first year of university?
So yeah, it's pretty much the same here in India also. So at 16 years of age, when we are actually doing 11th standard, that's this first year of 10 plus 2, so it's the 11th standard where we have to choose subjects. So we do not have specifically accounting per se, but we have an option between science, humanities, and commerce. So commerce has accountancy in it. It's a very major part of it. So that's where I already knew that this was the thing that I wanted to do. So I took up commerce there. So we had subjects like commerce, that's also called business studies, accounting, economics, and mathematics and other subjects, allied subjects like languages and all. So that's where I got an insight into what these subjects actually demand, and what these subjects are going to help me to propel my career towards something that I would want to do. And at the end of the day, what actually attracted me the most was a chartered accountant degree.
Awesome. And
Yeah.
so that story you actually told us about your dad, he couldn't become a
Yeah.
CA because of his.
Yeah.
That's very sweet, and he must be very proud knowing that his son is achieving that dream that he couldn't have. That is, I think that
I
is
hope
like the
so. Yeah.
biggest blessing. You hope so. You hope so.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
hope so too. I bet he very much is so.
Yeah.
So can you please describe your academic journey where you are now in brief? So basically, what is the route to gain entrance into the CA board exams? What is the particular degree you need to have? How many years of article training experience do you need? What are the board exams like?
Okay, so my academic journey personally has been like enormous. Like as in, I did my here 10+2. I did it my 10+2, and after that we need to for chartered accountancy. There is no prerequisite as to what subjects do you have at the school level. So any subject, any particular stream that you are in, you can get into chartered accountancy. It's very diverse and very accepting in that particular area. So we need to begin with our foundation exams. That's the first level exams that chartered accountancy has. This actually just tests your aptitude into what chartered accountancy demands. You can get there with any subject, but there you need to understand what accountancy is, because it's a hardcore accounting degree. So they test your accounting, they test your economics, they test your math, and then they also test your some law aspect of it, because that's actually a great wheel of chartered accountancy. So that's where it begins, from the foundation level. Then there is an intermediate level, that's the middle level, where they actually test it in a more advanced way, the way the subjects increase. Then they take your article training, and that's personally what I am in currently, and that's personally what I feel is the most important part of it, because there are academic degrees that actually help you understand the core the core understanding of subjects. But chartered accountancy in itself is a professional degree. It helps you understand the academic things of it, the theoretical part of it, but also the practical application. And those 3 rigorous years actually help you be employable. That's the correct word for it, more employable, as to say. And then you have the final exams after 3 years when you complete your articleship training, where you qualify and then be a chartered accountant and then employable.
God, all those years, all those
Yeah,
years to get to one place. So,
yeah,
I'm interested now. Tell me, you said that you can study any degree. Okay.
yeah. At school level, you can study any subject.
Yes. So if you obviously didn't choose that commerce background and you're now entering into accounting, is it not, are you not at a disadvantage compared to other students? Is it tough? Because if I did an arts stream at school, I did all the languages, drama kind of thing. Um, how does one get used to that numerical thinking, that analytical numerical thinking that is required in accounting then?
So that, I think, is a very subjective question, as in
Mm.
it differs from people to people. So, for example, if you have taken any other subject other than commerce and accountancy at your school level, be it science or be it humanities or arts for that matter, uh, you are going to choose an accounting degree only if you're very passionate about it. So I personally feel if you're very passionate about it, you're going to find ways as to how you're going to analyze yourself, how you're going to analyze your choices, the resources, and then think about how you're going to go through it. But what I feel is chartered accountancy at the foundation level, it actually gives you a brief idea of what everything is. It just touches upon all the concepts. It's not hardcore thinking at the initial level and then burdening the student with all the technical things. It's just giving them an outline of wow, like as in just giving them a brief of how the next 5 years or 7 years are going to be. So I just think that, yeah, a little weak link is there, obviously, because you don't have a background, and that happens in any degree for that matter. But there's also a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity, because it actually gives you an elevation. It actually gives you an equal standing with other students. So it's not like if even if you're from another other background, you're not able to give it. You're not eligible for it. You're eligible for it as much as a commerce background student is. So I think that's the kind of motivation that other students who are not from the commerce background should take it. They're also eligible with other students. So why not make use of that opportunity?
Yes, okay, sure. Because a lot of students, they do feel a lot of pressure, entering this, maybe it's parental pressure, peer pressure, um, entering into this career field. So I think that's an important tip, not to, just give it your best, and don't think other students who may have had that done that commerce stream are more at a disadvantage. It's more of an
Yeah.
advantage to you. I think that's an
Yeah,
important tip.
completely.
Never to give up and start working from day one.
Yeah.
So the next question is about your traineeship. So you can talk about your traineeship at Grant Thornton and even touch about your current experience at T Naga and Co. What was the application process like? If you can tell us a bit about it in brief. What were the requirements needed? The scores you had to have? What did you have to submit for the application process? What type of candidates are they looking for?
Okay. So beginning with what traineeship actually is that I earlier touched upon also is very important because traineeship is the most important part of a chartered accountancy degree and for other professional degrees as well, which have this particular training period. So here in chartered accountancy, as I told, after the intermediate level of examinations, you get to the traineeship period. So after you're qualified intermediate, you need to start applying for articleship training, which you can do at a CA firm, a firm that actually has chartered accountancy, qualified chartered accountants, and they're working in that particular sphere of taxation, accounting, auditing, a lot of things. So how do you apply, first of all? So for personally, when I'm talking about me, I was always interested in going to the big brands, as in Big Fours, EY, KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, as a number of people also are.
But the
So,
competition.
but the competition, yes, exactly, touching on that. So, after I qualified, so here it's a myth that the people who actually qualified in the first attempt get an added advantage. So, I think it's a myth, but still, I had qualified in the first attempt, so I did not have to face that particular back thing. But I qualified and I started applying to various big four organizations also. So my application process, particularly when I say, is very much dedicated to LinkedIn, I would say, because I started making a profile on LinkedIn, and I started to connect with people who were on LinkedIn who had been working at that or at those big four firms. So I started sending them texts, I started sending them messages, as in how they were and how I have qualified this particular examination, and I was interested in getting a traineeship there. So some people would reply, some people would not, naturally. So one of them replied, and I got an opportunity to interview at EY, Ernst& Young, at Gurgaon. So I got an opportunity there. I went there. It was my first interview ever, first ever interview in life, and it was February 2020. Yeah, before COVID. So I gave my interview there, and I could not clear it because it was my first interview, and I did not have much experience as to how it's going to be. And although it was a very big organization that I'd actually entered for the first time, so I could not clear there. Then I came back to my city. I also interviewed at other places which were also at that particular city, which EY was. But there also I was not able to get through it because I really had no experience as to how interviews are going to be, what exactly are they going to ask, and all these things, because I was very naive at that time. But then COVID happened, and then I realized that okay, at this particular point of time, I need to take a back foot and then pursue an articles training at a normal mid-sized firm here at my hometown. So I took the leap of faith and I joined a mid-sized firm in Lucknow only. But the aspiration of getting into Big Four always stayed with me, and I kept applying. I kept applying even in even in those 7 months of articleship training that I had in this mid-sized firm. I was still applying at Big Four. I was still applying at places like
And you're
Grant
still
Thornton,
applying.
Video. Yeah, I was still applying even if I was in the article training period because I can take a transfer within a year.
Yes.
So because I had the opportunity, I took it. I always grabbed it with both hands. So it was December last year, and I applied to a firm that was also a very big firm, Grant Thornton. I applied there, and I got in. So experience, as we say, like after rigorous, disappointments for a year, I had actually gotten an opportunity to be into that firm where I actually wanted. I went there and I worked there for 3 months. It was very informative. It was a lot of pressure, but obviously, it was really informative and very a great learning experience there. But somehow, COVID second wave happened in India, and I was also not able to manage things as nicely as and as productively as I would have happened I would have managed at my hometown. And then second wave of COVID happened. My father wasn't well, so I took the decision of quitting at Grand Thornton and coming back to my mid-sized firm in Lucknow.
Oh, I'm sorry your father
So
was ill.
yeah, my father's well,
Oh,
and
at
touch wood.
least, at least. And
Yeah,
so tell me, to still be applying, to be one to still be applying to those big four firms, should that be a goal in your training experience to aim to get in at a big four rather than staying in a medium-sized firm? Should that be the goal for any training student? Is there a huge advantage to that?
yeah, completely. I think there's a huge advantage, and there are also pros and cons. Obviously, as to any opinion, there
Yes.
are pros and cons. So there's a lot of pros. Obviously, you get a big brand on your CV, you get a lot of exposure, you get a big exposure that you'll not be able to get at a mid-sized firm or a small firm. But obviously, there are cons to it. There are long work hours. There are times to go. There are no times to come back.
Mm.
There are rigorous deadlines, and they are obviously natural because that when you start working, you have to give the hard work. But sometimes it gets into a toxic work culture, and we at this particular point of time are in a traineeship period. We are also supposed to study for our finals, so that's the kind of time that we don't actually get. There are people who
Exactly.
manage it, there are people who get through it, but also it differs from people to people. There are different goals, there are different long term visions. Everybody has a different set of ideas for themselves for the next future, for the near future. So, because personally for me, it did not align to my goal, to my long term vision, I took the leap of faith and I came back to where I was. So, it wasn't like I had a regret, but yeah, I've been there and I have experienced what it feels like. So, it's not something that we should actually aim for. If you want to do it, do it. If you are feeling that it's actually hindering your long term vision, it's no problem in quitting. It's no shame in quitting.
Awesome. I think that's very, very important. Mental health above all. Here in South Africa as
Yeah,
well, we do have the big four accounting firms, and the working hours are very long. Also, the salary is not such a
it's not
big and
competitive to
grand,
what we work.
yeah, not a nice,
Exactly. Yeah.
delicious one. So
No.
do keep that in mind. And yet you're working so many hours, and the journey to the CA journey is not even over yet. There's still a lot more to come. So I think people need to keep that in mind, even though it's great to have this company as like a brand in your CV. You need to keep in mind, what are you capable of?
Yeah,
You know?
truly. You need to understand your worth and
Yes.
you should never be ready to be exploited. I would say that.
Yeah, exactly. And experience is experience at the end of the day. I think whether it
Yeah.
was done at PwC or at a medium-sized firm, as long as you are getting that experience, because there are some accounting students who just can't get any kind of traineeship. So I definitely think you
Yeah.
should just grab what you can get and make the most out of
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
experience. But
Yeah,
most
true.
importantly, take care of your mental health. There's still more exams to come. Everest keeps on getting
Truly.
thicker and thicker.
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
Um, so the next question is, um, you touched on you were being interviewed at
Hmm.
Ernest and Young and all of these other firms. You went for interviews. You aced the Grant Thornton one and the Tinaga and Co. So
Yeah.
the kind of experience you were discussing, you didn't have the kind of experience initially. So at the interview, what is the procedure like? Can you describe it in brief? What kind of questions can you expect? Are they like personal questions, talking about your strengths, your weaknesses, or maybe like analytical thinking kind of questions, like creating hypothetical situations? What would you do if you were in the situation? Tax questions. What kind of questions did they ask you?
Okay. So, yeah, you really touched upon well on that. It's actually what you said. I just
Oh,
outline it in a different way. So, the interview process is a mix of all the questions that you said. So, particularly at Big Fours and big accounting firms like EY and Grant Thornton, as I discussed, there are rounds. Okay, so it begins with just a telephonic interview where they actually call you up and tell you that okay, you're selected for this particular interview. The telephonic round where they actually tell you is not a lighter one. It's actually also an important part because there they actually uh, judge you on the basis of how you're going to respond. And maybe sometimes telephonic interviews are also like they're going to ask you the skills there and then. What exactly are your skills? Then comes the technical round. Or some organizations also have an HR round before. So in the HR round, they ask personal questions like tell us about yourself, what are your strengths and weaknesses, what are your hobbies, what do you do out of CA, aside CA, what do you do? All these things like personal questions as to what your like how you've been all through this time. Then there is a technical round. So this is a lot of grilling. Technical round is a lot of grilling because specifically at EY, I would say, but I'm talking about my personal experience at EY, they ask you technical questions that you might not know answers to. There are theoretical questions because there are things that you've studied at intermediate level, but they're also going to ask you personal questions. So sometimes people have a practical exposure earlier. People know things earlier. People are more curious about to know more things, but not everybody is like that. So yes, it gets a little tough at the technical rounds because they're going to ask you questions. If, for example, it's tax, they're going to ask you what's the new tax regime. For example, if this particular person is earning this, then they have this particular income. What's going to tax rates be? All these things, analytical questions, as you said. Then after the technical round happens at every organization. And then we have the partner round. So the partner round, partner is actually, as you must be knowing, is the senior most member in a team, in a particular team. So if it's an internal audit team, then it's going to be a partner for that. Then if it's a tax team, they're going to be partner for that. So the partner is going to interview. So the partner round is a little chill because technical round is already over. You've already been grilled a lot. The partner round is knowing more about you, what exactly how are you as a team person, how are you as a team member, and how are you going to manage situations of for example, if there is a particular situation of crisis, how you're going to manage that. Then personal questions like what is your family background and all these things. So it's generally divided into not naturally three rounds. It's HR round, they actually personally know you. Technical round, that they know your skills, know your knowledge. And then the partner round, and they actually just assess what your whole background is about and how you are as a working professional in the near future.
And so, God, there's like all these rounds, and how long does this take to get through all
So
these
it's
rounds?
Yeah, so it's different. Sometimes they all happen in the same day. So if you're lucky, they're gonna all happen in the same day, and you're gonna know the results. But yes,
Okay.
I'm really sorry I skipped on that. The first thing that actually happens is the aptitude test. It doesn't happen everywhere, but some places it happens. So they actually test
Okay.
questions of math, of general reasoning, logical reasoning. So they ask you questions like that, and they text you an aptitude test, and then they have a particular score, a prerequisite score. For example, if you score until this particular thing, you're gonna qualify, and below that, you're not gonna qualify. So this is a thing that's a prerequisite, and after that, if you qualify that particular aptitude test, then there's HR round, then the technical round, and the partner round. So how long does it take? Generally, it takes a day if it's going to be quick. Otherwise, what happens, most of the organizations do is that they take a technical round and then they wait. If you qualify the technical round, then they will call you back and then tell you that, okay, you have a partner round now. Now, because it's COVID, it's all virtual. It generally happens in a day only, but it takes a day or two, or maybe if it's busy work hours for people who are actually going to interview, it might take a week. It's subjective to organization to organization.
Yeah, okay, I see. That's quite a lot to be doing in a day, despite it being virtual, I
Yeah.
think. But so, what kind of candidate are they exactly looking for? Would you say it's very balanced? That's why there's the technical and then there's the personal get to know you kind of questions, or will they value the technical more than the personal kind of than your personality? What's the trick
I
behind
think
there?
it's a mix of all. I think it's a
Okay.
mix of all. They need a neutral. They need a neutral candidate, as in they would want a person who's also good at communications. Would also need a person who would good at delivering and presenting. But at the same time, they would also need a person who's technically sound. It needs to be a mix of everything.
A mix of everything.
Exactly, particularly for bigger organizations like the Big Fours, they need a mix of everything. And yeah, obviously you need to have a prerequisite score, obviously. Like qualifying intermediate in the first attempt is a prerequisite here at the Big Fours. So that's something that I feel is what they need in a candidate.
Okay, so a good mix of all. Okay, I think that's very important as well because, especially if you're studying online as well, um, it's just work after work after work. And I think it's important for students to find other activities to be engaged in to build on skills. You know,
Yes, very
because I know
important.
here in South Africa, like what you're telling me, that's how they view at these big accounting firms. They view the CVs of candidates. They obviously want to see, do you have the marks? What activities were you
Yeah,
involved in? What activities, the activities you were involved in speak about your character. What other
exactly,
skills do you have
exactly.
to offer? So I definitely
Yeah,
do encourage viewers um, to do find activities, online volunteering forms to take advantage of because, as Harshit said, you'd be surprised at how many organizations really value a well-rounded candidate and being a part of organizations like what I do at Scholarship Track, for example, doing the volunteering. They really value. They want to see what is outside the brains. What are you doing in your spare time? I think that's also very
yeah,
important to value and very important for mental health as well, especially during these times of virtual uni and virtual IFRS.
yeah,
Um, so the next question I want to ask you. So a CA route, it's a very strenuous one. Our viewers know it's only been about nearly 30 minutes of this live Q&A, and he's been speaking about this long, long journey that he's still on, that Harshit is still on. So
yeah,
a lot of CA students get freaked out when they start university, when they finish their degree, you should be partying. Yay, my degree is over. But it's like, no, there's still more to come. There's still more standards to come. And what tips can you give students to keep being motivated? Some students in the midst, after they finish their accounting degree, they don't want to continue anymore on that route. And so they fall into the junior accountant, article clerk kind of jobs. So what tips can you give for students to stay motivated, achieve that dream, um, achieve that goal of being a CA?
okay, so yeah, it's it's actually a tough question, but because obviously I'm still in the particular journey, and I don't know if I'm worthy enough to give that answer because it's actually a little type of guidance. But what I personally feel is that yeah, it's going to be tough. Obviously, it's going to be tough. We cannot deny the fact, but we need to also acknowledge that this is something if we are into. If this is something that we always wanted to do, we need to be like very informed, and we need to be very aware about what exactly this is going to be about, this how tough it's going to be, how challenging it's going to get. But at the same time, we should not lose our individuality, as in even if it's CA, even if it's a degree, it's a degree. It actually would obviously promise you financial independence and a lot of things, and it will actually propel your career. But at times when you feel that it's not going to be worth it, at times when you feel that you need to quit, I just feel that those are the little times when you need to introspect and realize that, okay, this is something that I'm doing. Let's keep it aside for a moment. Let us understand what we actually are. That's where I personally feel that the things like extracurriculars, things like what we actually do, don't underestimate yourself at all. Don't underestimate yourself as in that, okay, only I'm doing only CA, I'm just supposed to study. No, it's not like that. Go out, meet friends, meet people, meet new people, read maybe if you like reading. Even if you like watching Netflix, just watch it. It's just that don't exactly. That's a great advice. Just because I feel that it's not just studies at the end of the day, because obviously it's going to help you, but unless you have a space reserved in your mind for something that's leisure, something that actually helps you breathe, I don't think it's going to be worth it at the end of the day, even if you qualify. If you're literally hardworking 24 into 7, if you're studying for 12 hours long, You have so much wrecked yourself into that particular sphere that after you're going to even actually achieve it, you'll not be able to enjoy that feeling, because you've wasted all your time into actually strenuously working towards it. Work for it, study for it, be dedicated for it, but I also find time for yourself for things that you actually might love to make. It can be simple as I told you, be simple as watching Netflix, or maybe you can start cooking, maybe you can just listen to music for a point of time. But there are things that you need to actually shift your attention at a point of time, so that the rigorous things also keep going, but the life also keeps moving in a
I
softer
love
way.
that. I love that advice. That's very, very sweet and good and homely advice to give, Harshit. I think we've really touched on that a lot in this live Q&A about having a balance. You even spoke about in the interview procedure. They care. They want to know, what do you do in your free time?
Exactly, exactly.
I've actually
Here, I would
chatted to
also
a
want to
few.
add.
Sorry,
Really sorry to interrupt you.
no, that's
Yeah.
okay.
So here, I actually already want to add that I was talking about hobbies, and also, for example, I knew a case. I had heard about a case that, as in, for example, if you're interviewing and then you have written things like other hobbies, as in, for example, you're learning a language. So you just don't write it for the sake of writing. So, for example, if you have written that you've learned French in your CV, so don't expect that the interviewer is going to skip it. They can actually ask you things. So I know a person who was actually asked it. Okay, say 5 lines in French. So hobbies are
Really?
important, but actually, yeah, exactly. But hobbies are important, but you also need to take accountability of it and be true to what you've written.
Yes.
So yeah, that's also important. I just wanted to add it because I
No,
just
no,
had it in mind.
that's brilliant. Yeah, I was gonna say something as well. I was actually chatting to a CA as well, and he said in his firm, it's actually funny. They've interviewed so many candidates, and they've taken on the ones who have that diversity, who are not, they have that balance, like you said,
Just
and
nerds.
yes, not just the nerds who are just studying all the time. It's funny, they actually interviewed. There's a lot of kids that come in there, and they aren't able to tell the interviewer anything about themselves at all, you know. And sometimes the
True.
interviewer wants to know, what do you do outside accounting? Accounting can't be your life forever. You need to have that well-rounded balance, I
True.
think.
True. Because that's exactly, and I do, and I personally I personally feel that we need to be empathetic towards those candidates, because I just feel that it's not their fault, because there are there are external factors like parental pressure, peer pressure, that actually want them to be, like they want them to be pursuing things that are too demanding, like chartered accountancy or any other degree. For example, people also do engineering, but these degrees are so demanding that they actually go into that particular sphere, and then they're not able to realize what exactly their own potential is. So I just feel that there needs to be a balance. There needs to
A
be a balance, because
balance.
that's also what exactly employers are looking at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. That's the magic word here, balance.
Balance.
So this is quite a tough question on you, but in a CA dream, not everything is magical. Not everything is rainbows and sunshine. There are dark times. And this is quite a personal question. We can skip it if you want to, or you can answer it. It's up to you. But are there
Yeah.
any regrets? Are there any dark times that you experience in your CA dream? Are there any regrets you wish you could take back? How did you get through those dark times in your CA route so far?
So, yeah, naturally, it is with everybody. There are regrets. There are things that you actually wanted to do, you could not do, or there were things that actually didn't go the right way. So, for me personally, it was maybe I've outgrown that also. Like, there was a phase that I actually was thinking about it, but now I've outgrown. But what I feel is that, instead of making it like what regrets I have, instead of that, I would really want to touch upon something, is that don't think about what the other people are talking. No, what I say it in a general way, what other people are talking, is that there are notions, there are general opinions about a number of things. For example, what I personally felt the most was big fours. So everybody said that it's okay if you didn't get into the big fours. So I said that obviously maybe you people are right, but at that point of time, if I had that particular dream of getting it there, I could not afford to listen to the other people. I could not afford that. Even if it's going to be worse, even if it's going to be not the right way, even if it's going to be something wrong. But I can't sit back and not make the effort of going and achieving the dream that I had, even if I'm going to quit back and come, even if I'm going to return to where it actually was. So that's what I wanted to tell people is, don't listen to what people are saying. Take the leap of faith. Do things that you actually want to do. Even if it's not going to work, it's okay. It's your life. You are going to be accountable for it. So I just want to say to people, even if they are pursuing hardcore degrees like these, listen to what your heart says. If it's something if it's something that you want to really do, and you do it and it doesn't work out, it's okay. It's your life. Nothing's going to be the end of it. So that's what I want to tell, instead of the regret that I had.
Oh, that's like such heartwarming advice. I like that. I like that. That's very, very good advice. So, the last question we have here before we get on to the comments that the viewers are asking is, you've obviously given so much advice, some tips in these past questions I've asked you, but any advice, final advice to students who wish to be in your position, to even reach that training experience, to go through those board exams, to ace that round? What advice can you share, and even advice to students who are in high school and want to pursue this accounting degree, but then they aren't sure? Technology scares everybody. And I think even us accounting students, I'm currently in university doing accounting, it scares us. It really, really does. I mean, you get all these new accounting software packages, Sage Pastel Accounting, QuickBooks. There's so many accounting softwares coming up, and business owners, people who don't even have an accounting degree, are able to get the books done just by attending a one-day course on Skillshare, even looking at YouTube tutorials on how to use these kind of softwares, and they're able to get the work done. So what advice can you give students who are afraid, okay, is technology going to take over the job of a CA? Is being a CA useless? Students feel that midpoint in their degree when they're overloaded with this technology, all the software packages that they now have to learn. you know what advice can you give students who are even feeling that way as well?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, what exactly I want to say is that, as you talked about a number of things that are coming up, technology is going to set its foot, and there are myths that people might actually feel that CAs would, like people, not only CAs, a number of professions are going to lose their valuability after technology is going to take its stand. I can't deny it, possibly, because yes, technology is fast growing. But what I feel at this particular juncture in this world is that it's not. We really need not to think about it's going to replace. What I feel is that we should actually start thinking about and focusing on how we can actually complement it. Any technology would, at the end of the day, need a human mind, isn't it? Yes. So if it's going to need a human mind, we also need to start learning. Okay. So if, for example, there's a chartered accountancy degree, it's hardcore accounting. So maybe we can learn skills like uh, data analytics, like blockchain. We can develop our interest into it. But that does not mean that we need to be into a lot of pressure at that point of time. As you said, that people are now making a hype about Sage Pastel, QuickBooks, and other accounting softwares like that, where it actually there's a myth that employees would actually expect you to know about. But what I feel, and specifically fresher advice, is that the employers do not expect everything out of you. The only thing that the employers expect is that you need to have that particular knack of learning. They need to see that, okay, you're ready to learn, not because not they need to know that you're ready to learn, and not that you are actually knowing everything. If you're actually knowing everything, you are going to be in that place. Exactly, right? You are actually there to learn, and that's a virtue that you actually need to put forward. And that's where how you're going to present yourself, that okay, these are things that I did at school, these are skills that I garnered, these are the grades that I scored, but also these are the things that I'm interested to learn. These are the skills that I would actually want to be in my particular biodata in the CV. So I just feel that don't put too much pressure on yourself. Technology is going to set its foot, and it's the harsh reality at that particular point of time. But think on how you're going to complement it, how you're going to use your accounting data, your accounting knowledge into analyzing and complementing it with data analytics, with blockchain, with crypto, and a lot of things that are actually there. So that's what I feel is an advice to students at this particular point of time, because obviously it's ever evolving and ever changing. Don't put too much pressure upon yourself, but also put a presentation in front of the employer, any other person who's interviewing you, that you're actually keen to learn, and that's what matters at the end of the day.
Definitely. I love the advice you always give, because I think it's not like hardcore kind of advice. You don't tell people, go, just do it, just do it. It's all about what's in here and what's in taking care of this, most
Exactly.
importantly. And I love how you really, really have emphasized that throughout this whole live Q&A session. And that's such great advice, because I know we look at those requirements on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can even be overwhelming. And they say, oh,
Yeah.
you need experience in this. Even if it says preferred requirements, experience in the
I would really
sometimes
say
is
LinkedIn. I
essential.
will just say a word. I'm really sorry to stop you, but I really
No,
say
that's
word LinkedIn
okay.
is a very depressing place. LinkedIn is a very depressing place. It's full of overachievers. I don't think it's the right word to say, but it's full of overachievers. But I still feel that it's also an inspiring place if you see it in the right way. Because
Definitely.
obviously people always want to showcase their achievements, because that's what they've actually worked for at the end of the day. So it's okay to
Exactly.
present what you have achieved, but for the viewers, it's also okay to just consume the limit of it, not too much of it. That at the end of the day makes you depressed. So it's LinkedIn is a depressing place sometimes, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think it depends how you view it, how you see it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
also think, I mean, what you were doing on LinkedIn, you saw people with these experiences that, you said this initially in the
yeah.
earlier on in this live Q&A. You were asking them, you were connecting with people. I think that is the kind of attitude to have. Don't make LinkedIn a depressing place. See it as a place for opportunity. Great.
Exactly, exactly.
Congratulate people who've achieved this. You want to achieve this.
Yes,
Connect with them. How can I get to the position you're in?
that's what I
Look at
wanted to
you,
say. Yes,
Harshit.
exactly.
We discovered you
Yeah.
on LinkedIn. You're here, you're bringing value. And I'm pretty sure many people who've achieved amazing things who are sharing on LinkedIn are willing to help others out as well.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
everyone really has that particular knack in them, and everyone wants to help them. It's just that we need to reach out, we need to touch, we need to connect. That's what matters.
yes, that's important. So I'm going on the comment section, and
It's, I
wow,
don't think there are many questions. They're
I
almost
think we covered
my
everything, but
friend,
very,
my
very
mother.
sweet things. Your
Yeah,
mom's on here.
yeah, my friends, my mother.
Oh, good evening, Mrs. Aurora. Um,
Thank you for saying that.
okay. Oh, let's look at this lovely comment. Oh, wash hands.
It's
Um,
an emoji, I feel.
oh, yes.
It was supposed to
Insightful.
be an emoji.
Oh,
That's my best
very
friend.
insightful. Oh, Anushka. Informative. Very
Yeah,
informative.
she's my friend. Yeah,
Divya.
yeah.
Again, another emoji. Why did these emojis not come up? Okay,
I
wash
don't know.
hands.
It's some.
Sagarika. She said, your answers are really very sorted and they do reflect the reality in all possible ways. 100% agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you,
Divya, future CA. I agree.
thank you.
Anushka, very well structured answers. The interview part explained by you is very much helpful for so many people by Akanksha.
Thank you so much, Akanshali. Thank
Oh,
you so much.
Anushka, your biggest fan. Wonderful to see you highlight the importance of mental health
So
while
happy.
pursuing your dreams. She likes. Confident, proud of you. Your mom.
Thank you.
Wow, you basically have a fan base here, Harshit. Oh, and Nishka has a question. If there is one thing you could change about your field, what would it be? Interesting question.
Okay, so what I would change about it is, uh, so we actually in our chartered accountancy course, we obviously have a number of exams to crack, and then we also have some trainings that are soft skill trainings. What I feel is that they are actually formalities at this particular point of time in our course. I just feel that what we actually make a change in it is bring those soft skills trainings in the actual practical training period also. We just don't need to do the 15 days training of what we actually going to know about. What we can actually introduce is during those 3 years, please introduce things like how we're going to present, how we're going to deliver in front of a number of people, how you're going to communicate. These are the little things that we actually need as professionals in this particular time and in this particular time in the country. So that's something that I feel that we can change or maybe alter, I would say.
Awesome. And also, tell me, you know, I agree with all of our viewers. He really has touched a lot about mental health. In a lot of live Q&A sessions with chartered accountants, people in the road to get there, they don't touch on that. So very grateful for that. Very blessed you shared that with us. And do you think one thing that could be changed in our field is the way seniors view juniors? A lot of seniors
Yeah,
are not very understanding of mental health. They
yeah,
don't
exactly.
understand that. So do you think that is also something that could change as well?
Yeah,
Because
exactly,
some you do
exactly.
get
That's
some
where I want to come.
recruiters who want people just for the marks, you know.
Yeah,
Should you
there
be
are
scared
a
of
number of
someone
people
like
who
that?
actually are there. Yeah. So what I exactly feel about it is that, particularly in India, what the regulatory body that we have for chartered accountants is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So it has a lot of initiatives. It has initiatives for increasing the skill, increasing the knowledge, increasing the a lot of things that are academically important. But what I also feel is that in India, CA is seen as the biggest myth about CA is that you're not going to clear it. It's going to be years and years and years, and then you're going to turn old and not going to clear it. Maybe you'll clear it after 30 years of age or 40 years of age. This is a very big myth. So we need to understand that failure is okay, failure is natural. And what we need to understand and work upon it is that what we need to work upon it is that at the regulatory body level, from the top level, there should be programs, there should be initiatives that actually focus on those group also, for those who actually fail. Just not celebrate the people who aced the examination, who stood all India rank 1, all India rank 2, but the people who failed. Please try to reach out to them. Please make a program from them where they can actually put out their feelings, put out their expressions as to what went wrong in the examination. Or if they're not able to actually discuss and analyze what went wrong in the examination, give them a spare, listen to them, give them a little counseling kind of a thing where they actually can think of what they're actually doing. And maybe even if they want to switch from CA, maybe if they want to get into another career, give them the space. That's the most important thing that I think that should come from an initiative from the top level only. The students can do it, but the students cannot do it in a more structured way and in a more worked way, as it can come from the regulatory levels and the people who are actually executively managing the whole course. That's something that I think can come as an initiative for helping the students on a personal level also, because that's where if this is fine, then everything's going to be fine at the end of the day.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more because God, there are so many. I go on Facebook, I go on Instagram, I'm on the CA route just as you are, and I've seen what people have shared. Kids commit suicide because they fail
So sorry.
a CA exam. And some people, when I went to India, I saw people that, India is just such a competitive environment. I've seen people who have all these amazing degrees. And I'm like, wow, degree, it doesn't matter how it went. When you finish a degree, that's so many years of hard work and effort to complete that degree. It's not just
Too
a
much
piece
effort,
of
yeah, too
paper,
much.
but they're doing jobs that are not for that career. Like a bus driver who has an accounting degree, but gave up on that point. You know,
Yeah, that's really tough to hear, because at the end of the day, we could
it's a
not promise the
reality.
infrastructure. We could not promise them
Mm,
the infrastructure. We could not promise them the jobs that they wanted to do. We could not promise them livelihood. We could not promise them a standard of living. But still, they're
yes,
making a living somehow out of odd jobs. So it's just the communication, the conversation needs to happen at the end of the day to
exactly, and not to
actually
be
analyze
entitled.
and respect and recognize the skill that people have.
Mm,
Don't allow them and don't make them, force to do odd jobs like these when we can actually not promise them the infrastructure.
exactly, and not to be intimidated as well, because I know when here in South Africa, if you want to be a CEO of a company, a lot of the CEOs are CAs here, and in India, it's very different. It's more like I hate to put it this way, but this is by observation. When I was in the country, to me, it seems like their children will be the CEOs and not a CA who's not related. So nepotism is a big thing, and I think
Yeah.
all our viewers need to hear that, need to listen to this live Q&A in full, take in Harshit's advice, and know to never give up and to never be intimidated. I think because it is really a worthwhile career, and it's all about putting in the effort, putting in the hard work, and as you said, Harshit, never ever give up. No matter how many failures you have, never give up.
Never give up and also understand what you're made for. Take the
Yes.
space, take a break. You deserve it.
Yes, awesome. Oh my God, another one. Shweta Anand, proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm going to end the live Q&A here. I don't think there's any other questions. Thank you, or
Yeah.
comments. A lot of a big fan base you have after this Q&A, Harshit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being with us here at Scholarship Track and sharing and creating such value for our viewers. I definitely do think this was such a valuable live Q&A. You answered all the questions regarding the CA route from a very personal level as well as an informative level. So thank you so much for the session. And if anybody wants to connect with Harshit, they are more than welcome to.
Yes.
Would you like viewers to connect with you via LinkedIn?
Yeah, people can reach out to me via LinkedIn, or I'm also available on Facebook, all social media platforms, so people can find me there. Maybe in the
So
description, Suvanya, we can add my LinkedIn ID.
also, you can even put it on the comments here as well.
Mm,
Um, the comment section as well.
just a second.
Awesome. Yes. So if anybody has any other questions, maybe you're watching the pre-recorded version or you're too shy to ask a question here on the live Q&A form, do feel free to be connected with Harshit to get
Yeah.
all your questions answered. He's more than happy to help people, guide people, and mentor people.
Yeah. Suvanya, where do I add the comment?
Oh, don't worry. I'll help you as soon as we're done. Thank you so much, Harshit.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Thank you so much, Suvanya. It was
Okay.
really lovely chatting with you, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here and express what I feel to a larger audience. Thank you so much, Scholarship Track
Awesome.
also. Yeah, all credits
Thank
to
you.
you people.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you, Suvanya. Bye.
Thank you. Guys, I put his LinkedIn link on the comments section. Feel free to connect with him as well. Thank you,
Yes, please.
viewers.
Love to hear
Bye.
all of you. Bye. Bye. Bye.